the Christmas spirit, unless it comes to certain songs, and then we head south. Ted Check is the author of Saving the Beast, a recovery report reflects on America's broken media and how to fix it. And he joins us every Friday morning to take a look back on the week in media. Good morning, Ted. How you doing?
Hey, Gary. I'm doing great. How you doing?
Well, we missed you last week. Obviously, we weren't here last week, so that's the reason that we missed you. But
Right.
we're glad to have you back in here today.
I missed you guys.
But you didn't write. I mean, there were no cards. I didn't see anything show up by house. Say, hey, by the way,
You
I
don't
missed
write.
you.
You don't call. What's going on?
No emails, nothing, not a text. So no, it's good to have you back in. So this one of the we find out about this pipe bomber who apparently prior to January 6th laid some pipe bombs in around the Capitol. Fortunately, they didn't go off. But this guy Brian Cole Jr. Is the guy that we find. Well, Jake Tapper of CNN goes on the air on his show, I guess, the other night. What was it, Wednesday night? And he decides to talk about this. And his show, by the way, is called The Lead, which is the lead story of the day, and says this guy is a white man. Turns out he's not. I mean, why would you go out of your way to say a white man? That's the big question here. Your take on this whole story this morning?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I got to say, it's not the first time. It's not the first time that CNN has done it. In fact, at least they've done it twice this year, and then overall it's been 3 times. Apparently, I looked this up. There's something called white normalism, where the media defaults to talking about somebody as white, which it usually leads, it says here, to people of color feeling excluded or misrepresented. But in this case, they go the other way with it. So, for example, the New York City mass shooter, Shane Tamura.
Right.
They said Aaron Burnett from CNN called him possibly white, when clearly he wasn't.
Right.
Then, if you remember, months before that, the Egyptian guy who lobbed Molotov cocktails into a crowd in Colorado.
Right.
Media said he was a white male.
Yes.
So the third time this year that this has gone on. It's very puzzling.
Well, it was interesting here. I was looking at some of the quotes about this, and one person said, Jake is sharp as a tack. Nothing gets past him. Dude's elite. Someone deadpanned. And then the impossible that he does not know what he's doing. Is it possible he does not know what he's doing? One user speculated. Conservative influencer Nick Sorter accused CNN of pushing anti-white rhetoric. But is this so in other words, when we think about the January 6th attacks on the Capitol, which were heinous, I don't care what color you wore, we think about them as normally something that a whole lot of white people took part in. And so is this supposedly going to fit the narrative then that was out there? And all of a sudden say, wait a second, what's this guy doing on the scene? As we in a very silly way, look at this whole idea of white and black in something where you just had some people do some really bad things. Doesn't matter what color they are, right?
Right. I mean, there was a guy, I can't remember his name, but a black man who got inside the Capitol and was doing some broadcasting on his social media platform. So you can't say that it was totally a white thing, January 6th.
Right.
But yeah, it's possible there is that theory out there that the media believes that saying that this guy is black would wreck the narrative that they've constructed so far. These 5 years, I guess it is, since January 6th. Revealing that Brian Cole Jr. is black. Some people think it's a concerted effort that any time the race of a terrorist or a criminal is unknown, media defaults to white. That's a theory that's out there.
Well, and we normally think of like the mass killings and stuff like that. Normally, white guys 18 to 24 or 18 to 30, I guess it is, all that kind of stuff. We get into these stereotypes, and that's the danger. Man, if you're in the news, that's the danger of reporting, because here it is. What you're trying to intimate to people somehow is either one of two things. A, in the moment, it was all these white people that went and charged the Capitol, and they're really bad. They were Trump supporters, and they're MAGAs and all this, and they're awful, horrible people, and everybody associated with it is horrible. That's kind of what you want to intimate. Or B, you want to say, well, because they're a certain color, therefore they are bad. No, they are bad people because they did a bad thing and they had bad intentions. Has nothing to do with color. It has to do, because we ought to know that a little bit more maturely by now, I think. It has to do with the fact that they did some really stupid, bad stuff and need to be held accountable. Has nothing to do with color. It has to do with the moment and how they understood things and how they went about, expressing themselves rightfully or wrongfully. That's what it's really about, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And, when I was a reporter, I would go after whatever the crime was. So I would scour, reports from the various courts, and whatever I saw that was, that I felt was significant, armed robberies, shootings, things like that, I then would, pursue that further and say, let me see the affidavits of probable cause on this. I'm not even looking at the defendant's name, or I don't even have mugshots at that point or anything. I'm just going after the crime.
This is what happened.
And then and it didn't matter what race they were. It was what had happened, and what impact that would have on the community, and should I therefore cover it or not cover it?
Now, let me ask you this question. When you report a story, and again, this is not a racial thing, but it has to do with race. When you report a story, okay, and you say, okay, such and such was from Louisiana, lived somewhere, da-da-da-da-da-da. Is race important in that? Once you see a picture, you're going to say, oh, well, that person is Chinese, or they're Arabian, or they're white, or they're black, or whatever they might be.
Right.
So is it important for you to report it? Now, on the other hand, if a person is at large and was seen, and you say, well, that's a black person wearing a hoodie, or that's a white person wearing a hoodie, and you're profiling them for the purpose of people reporting where they are so that they can be picked up as suspects, that maybe I can see where that comes into play. But as far as just reporting a story and saying this person committed a crime or is the suspected perpetrator of the crime, that doesn't seem like that should be a big deal. Give me a thought on that. You're a reporter.
Yeah.
Your guy knows something about that.
Sure, yeah. So when we would talk about suspects, we would make sure to be as detailed as possible. If we were going to talk about race, because then you run into, you're describing a large swath of the population, regardless of whatever race you say. So, we're talking about like hair color, eye color, what they're wearing on clothing, top and bottom, and any other distinguishing marks. So you want to get as many details as you can if you are going to reveal the person's race. When the police are saying, yeah, this is the person that we're looking for.
Right.
Unless you, and if you had a surveillance photo or any other type of photo, that would help in that regard.
And that's if the perpetrator is loose, an ongoing search for them and so forth. That would seem that's important information, right? Yeah.
Right. But if we
nothing to do with racial, just important information having to do with identifying that person.
Correct. But otherwise, if it doesn't make a difference, if it doesn't have an impact in any way, then I would say no. So, for example, you always hear white cop and shooting a black person, but you never hear Asian cop shoots Hispanic person.
Right.
You've never heard that.
No.
So it's just best to leave it out. There's no need for it.
Well, you make a great point that, there's a place where you say, okay, we're reporting on the story. Here, this person killed this person, did this thing, here's what happened, whatever. And then you say, oh, but now this person did this to this person. They're out loose among the community, and if you're looking for them, here they are. Here's what we're looking for. So, yeah, so I think it's important for people to understand. Now, in the case of Jake Tapper here, he's going out and saying this is a white guy. He went out of his way to insert white into this where it didn't need to be. You could say this person was the perpetrator, and in lieu of not having a mug shot yet, you'd say, okay, this person was a perpetrator, 45-year-old, whatever the guy's name was, Brian Cole Jr. Okay, well, Brian Cole Jr. Is the guy. But they didn't have any picture of him until the other night, by the way, and they finally unveiled who this guy was. So, it seems to me that just a good reporter wouldn't put that in there yet. And Jake Tapper's been around for a long time, for heaven's sakes.
So he knows exactly what he's doing. And so do the producers, the people in his ear. that are actually running the show. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I totally agree with you that there was no need to say that at that point or at any point, really.
It looks political. It looks like you have an ideological bent on that. When you do that, and he doesn't need to do that. I mean, there you go. I mean, that's what it is.
And here's the other thing is that so he didn't run the photo initially. That was
Right.
run at a later broadcast. But up until this point, as far as I can tell, I was doing some searching this morning before we got on the air here. There's been no correction. He hasn't said anything. He's being raked over the coals online.
Yeah, he has been.
But he hasn't issued a correction. CNN hasn't issued a correction. So they're just going to hope it blows over. They're going to hope it goes away.
I'm sure that's what they're hoping, and just let it go, and hope that the only place he's getting skewered is a little bit on social media. They get out of town. So, but that's fine.
Well,
but
the damage has been done. That's the thing. When it first comes out, the damage is done, and any correction that you issue,
right.
After that does not, have the same doesn't reach as many people.
Well, and if you did it inadvertently, let's give them we'll give them the benefit of the doubt for the moment. If you did it inadvertently, come back and say, you know what, I made a little bit of a mistake. Let me come back tomorrow night and correct it. I know Mark and I've had to do that over the years, and Mark's excellent about this. We'll say, hey, by the way, we made a mistake on this reporting. Here's what it is. We wanted to make sure we made that correction. You don't put it back. You don't let it go by. You don't forget about it. I did something this year where I think mispronounced something or talked about something the day before, and it wasn't true. And I wanted to make sure I corrected that right away because you got to be searching for the truth here and getting it right. Otherwise, people stop listening to you. And I think that's or stop watching you. And in this case, Tapper's hoping that doesn't happen. Now, I will guarantee you that CNN will be all over him if there's more of a furor about this in the long run. I don't think there will be. But if there's more of a furor in the long run, he'll be apologizing as fast as he humanly can because advertisers will start to, hey, wait a second. You guys are putting out bad. You guys have put out some misleading information here. We don't want to have that happen. And when advertisers get mad and start pulling money, and people start getting mad, not buying the products you're pushing, guess what? Things happen fast.
Exactly.
Hey, great topic this morning, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, Gary. Sure. I was just going to end with integrity and being objective. That's all in my book.
Yep.
That's what I'm pushing for the media. If you make a mistake, admit it. And make sure that it reaches the maximum amount of people that you made a mistake and that you're going to do better.
And don't let the beast die, right? The beast be the news. Saving the beast, a recovery report reflects on America's broken media and how to fix it. Maybe a great Christmas gift for you to get somebody.
There you go.
Yeah,
see
not
that?
A bad
idea.
Huh? There it is. Amazon.com. Ted Czech, CZECH, also our information officer here in York County, is the author of that, Saving the Beast. Go get it out today and read it. It's got some great ideas in it. I've read through it, and I'll tell you what, it's an outstanding book, and you'll enjoy it.
Thank you, Gary.
Ted with us every Friday morning here on the Gary Sutton Show, except when we don't work on Friday mornings, then he's not. Then he's on witness protection at that point. So anyway, he'll be back next week. Hey, Ted,
yes,
thanks.
I will.
Thanks so much, my friend. Always appreciate it. Have a great weekend, okay, buddy?
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, you too.
Ted Czech, author of Saving the Beast. Check it out today. Great Christmas present, maybe to buy for somebody to take a good read. 6:50 here on the Gary Sutton Show. What do we have around the corner?